again, you're another one of these people who I just love to get inside your head and just work out how it works in there, because some of the stuff you come up with is insane.
Jump in, there's plenty of room.
Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from 3 countries, 2 continents, and featuring 5 guys separated only by the same language. Here's your host, Richard Morley.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is and wherever you are listening. Joining me tonight, along with everybody else, as always, Mr. Chris Cute. Welcome, Chris.
I said hello, everybody.
It didn't come back to me, so we'll move straight on then. Alan, are you here?
I'm here. How you doing, fellas?
Excellent. And helping to raise $110, making it for the Make It Matter charity this week. Our very own charity case is Jamie Page.
How you doing, everybody?
How are you? We've also got another special guest with us this evening. I think he's here. Is he? It's Izzy Swan.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on today.
Well, thanks for joining us, Izzy. I know we're going to be talking about the community tonight, so it kind of only seemed right to include you in on this, especially with Joe's absence this week again. So, Joe, if you are listening, a big raspberry to you.
And that guy's nothing but trouble. You know that, right?
Man, I'm telling you, he's off my Christmas card list for sure this time.
But let's face it, when he is here, he's worth his weight in gold. I know he's only little, but he's definitely worth his weight in gold. Now, we've got a few shout-outs, as always, so I'll try and get through those nice and quick, because this week Chris is going to be on my case, getting me to shut up after an hour. So over on Facebook, we've got Frank Schimandel, our guest from last week, Brian Way. Over on YouTube, and these guys might possibly be actually listening live, I don't know. We've got Ragtie, Robert Evans, Wacky Woodworks, Frank Schimandel, OJ Woodworking and Crafts, Jim Dockrell, Sharp Edge Woodworking, Ian Brody Smith, Rewind Remix, Shogun Jimmy, and Ian Hay. I think over on SoundCloud, Mr. McGinn might be a little bit preoccupied at the moment because he didn't comment, but I think this week we'll give him a little bit of a break. What do you reckon, Chris?
Yeah, congratulations to both Jason and Jen. But yeah, they tied the proverbial knot over the weekend. So I'm sure they're out busy honeymooning at the moment.
Well, if they are honeymooning, presumably they're both listening to the podcast. I don't know.
Come on, guys.
That's awfully optimistic.
Yeah, it probably is a bit, but we can big it up a little bit, surely. Don't forget, for those of you that aren't listening live to us here on YouTube, you can also rate us over on iTunes and comment on your preferred listening platform. Rating, commenting always encourages us, and it's great to hear what you guys have to say. So don't forget to get in touch. Do we have any random listener questions or comments from last week's to this week's that we can bring in?
I don't have any questions, Richard, but I do have a quick big thank you I want to give out to Steve Twidell, who's the one who helped us get on the air today. So, Steve, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Big thumbs up to you there. Once again, we rely heavily on people that actually know what they're doing, because we have no clue, literally no idea what's going on, as is probably rather obvious. But I think then we'll dive straight in with the main topic. So do you want to introduce this, Chris? Because this was, I think, it was Alan's doing, wasn't it? It was Alan's big idea. Come on, Alan.
Yeah. Well, no, I had, today was my Atlanta. I went to the Hamilton woodworking show, and it was my first woodworking show. So it got me really excited about community and kind of got me feeling a little nostalgic and thinking back on community. And I thought it would just make a really good show if we could talk about the community at large and maybe have somebody who is really big in the community and really active in the community, like Izzy Swan here. So I really wanted his thoughts on the community at large. So what are you saying, Izzy?
You want me to talk about all the crazy people, or?
Yeah, start with yourself.
Well, I guess that puts me on top of the king. So,
Yeah.
It's really fun. I'm glad that you had a chance to go on woodworking shows, and it's exciting that it's your first one. I think a lot of people don't get to experience those shows, and when you finally get to one, there's something about the shows when you're at them. It's just it's woodworking, and that type of show, those kind of people are just super friendly, super generous people. I always say the woodworking community is probably the most generous community I've ever been a part of. So the fact that you got to do that, that's really cool. And we were talking a little bit before the show here about Atlanta and what's coming down with that. And we've got some really fun things happening down there. We're seeing just this huge mass of creators and people. I mean, it's going to be nuts. It's going to be off the chain. So I'm super excited about that as well.
Yeah, the Atlanta show is absolutely huge. It's got to be 3-4 times the size I went to. But I mean, the second I walked through the door in the Hamilton show, first person I saw as I walked through the door came running up to me and saying, "Oh my God, I've seen you on YouTube. Do you have a sticker?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. Here, take a sticker." But everybody was just overly nice, and I think we had maybe 4 YouTubers there. How many YouTubers are you going to have in Atlanta? The booth has like plus 50 people, doesn't it?
It sounds like it's close to almost 80 now.
Wow, that's just insane big.
The last list I had 60 names on it, and I quit it after a while because it's just
the problem. We're having a little bit of trouble quantifying it because there's several lists floating around out there right now. So it's right now from the 3 lists that I know of, it looks like we're just shy of 80 people, I think, at this point. So, and there's bound to be a few more jumping on board. Just to name a few, we've got, and obviously I focus on the larger names because those are the ones that most people are going to know. Jimmy DeRestis is going to be there. David Welder is going to be there. Carl Jacobson is going to be there. There's Chops with Chris is going to be there. That crazy guy that builds dinosaurs is going to be there. So, I mean, it's not that, I say though, because those are the names people more recognize than others, but there's so many, and there's so many great creators coming to this that it's there's no way this cannot be just an amazing time. I mean, it's already stalled. It's already a done deal. Jamie's coming from overseas to join us. We've got, speaking of Jason and his new bride, they'll be there in Atlanta as well. So there's going to be a lot of firsts. A gentleman that I've been really looking forward to meeting is Bill Lutz. He's going to be there. So there's just all these really great pillars in the community. Andy Berkey and so many others. Wes Swain's going to be there. Mancrafting is going to be there. Ben Brandt's now committed to being there. There's just, so it's like all these names that just keep coming in and coming in. So trying to keep a tally is really tough, but it's insane. We've had a lot of really good response from the community as well. Viewers, fans, active members on some of the forums. They're planning on coming as well. So it's just, it just keeps getting better and better. So.
Now, Izzy, I wanted to ask you a question because this whole the Atlanta show, you and I, we were there last year as well, but this is a totally different kind of event that's going on. It's one that you've pretty much coordinated a lot of it on your own, and you've done it through something I did want to touch on, and we can get into that a little bit more later. But you did it through a lot of your connections that you worked with through this were through the Toolmasters Association that you started.
That's really part of what Toolmasters is all about. It's about doing some stuff with the community in the future. We could talk more about Toolmasters later, but that's one of the main focuses. That one of the reasons I created the association is to not only generate revenue to help support what some of the creators are doing, kind of in a way act like a Patreon of sorts for some creators, but also to funnel a lot of that revenue and the energy and the participation back into the community and try and really grow what we're doing. Not just for Toolmasters, but for the entire community, for this online woodworking, making, whatever you want to call it, movement, is to try to do things that are going to just generate more and more traffic. We're talking. We have the Toolmasters logo on a sprint car now that's going to be in national sprint car races. We have a couple companies that we're working with that'll help promote what we're doing, help promote growth in the community. And that's all been made possible because of the Toolmasters Association and just a huge resounding, people just the response to it was incredible. So many people just jumping on and really being part of it, and it's made a lot of things possible that wouldn't have otherwise been possible. So I have to say thank you to the members. Sorry, Chris. I have to say thank you to the members of Tool Masters for really making this happen. It's their hard-earned money and their effort and their energy that's really making all this possible.
Yeah, I was going to say that just through the connections that you've made through the Tool Masters Association, not only the members that you have, but also the merchants that you've been able to bring on board. It was through one of those that we actually have a booth in the Atlanta show. I mean, sawblade.com is the people who have chipped in and gotten that booth for us all to hang out in. Is that not right?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. It's always a touchy subject talking about tool companies, but at the end of the day, tool companies are just like us. They're people that need to make a living too. They're guys and girls right here in the U.S. that go home and feed their kids. And when you have a company like sawblade.com that does real high quality stuff, great customer service, and they do a lot of things for the community. And one of the things that's hard to quantify is some of what's happening on the back end. What I see is happening now, all the plans being set in motion, and it'll become really apparent here very shortly how much energy and effort and money and stuff that sawblade.com is putting into the community. And it's kind of a neat thing to see. So there's that side. So when companies like that come forth, companies like BP Way and Miter Set and Klingspor, and Acme and all these companies that are really interested in community and community growth, it's not altruistic. I mean, they're there because they want the exposure. They need to grow companies just like we want to grow our YouTube channels. They want to grow what they're doing. So there's this partnership that happens between this community and these tool companies, and that partnership can be something that's very valuable for both the tool companies, both the end users and the guys in the middle, like us. So it's really it's trying to really try to bring all that together and make it a benefit for everyone. And how can we do that? And that's kind of where the idea of Tool Masters Association was born, was to try to bring all that together where it's good for everybody, where there's a benefit for every individual involved.
Well, you basically created a community within the community. I mean, we talk about the community, kind of in air quotes, and we're talking about the entire thing. But with Toolmasters Association, you've kind of created another community off of that community that helps support a lot of people, like you previously mentioned. But I was curious because I know that you've been around, obviously, on YouTube and in the woodworking community for most of your life. I mean, you were a professional. But as far as the YouTube world is concerned, I know that you've been around for a while. Richard, I know that you've had your channel has been active for a while as well. How have you guys seen this community change from when you first entered to where it is today? Because it seems like, I guess the biggest change would be that it's gotten a lot larger. But other than that, have you noticed any kind of differences from where it once was to where it is now?
I certainly have, and hopefully Izzy will kind of back me up on this. When I first started, it was people like Laney and Steve Ramsey. They'd got their relatively small channels back in 3, 4, 5 years ago. Mark Spagnolo was, they were building up, and everybody else it was a very voyeuristic, I felt anyway, approach. And I watched them, but I didn't get involved until things like Keek came about, and then from Keek the Google Hangouts started appearing, and from that many more people started to get involved and then started to put themselves into the community, if that makes sense. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Izzy.
Yeah, absolutely.
The kind of technology developed, and once it became a more approachable thing, then it just exploded. And it was like a 1 month in kind of 2015, it just overnight it seemed to explode, and it's what it is today. And then you've got people like Izzy putting in the Tool Masters, and it helps solidify all that growth and cement everyone together and put it as what it is.
Yeah, so like you said, I mean, we started with I call them the four fathers. We had Matt's basement workshop. Who was it? Yeah, it was
Matt's
just before
basement workshop. Yeah,
it was just before. And then we had the Wood Whisperer jumped on, and then it was Steve Ramsey, and then it was Laney. Those were the four guys that really started this movement on YouTube. I'm sure it would have happened regardless, but you know, these guys, they were the frontiers or the pilgrims, if you want to call that. And I started watching, you know, YouTube not real seriously till just before I started my channel, and I was watching a lot of Steve Ramsey and Lainey Shaughnessy back then, and that's kind of what drove me to start the channel. And you've seen, even in the last 3.5 years since I've been doing this, it's just been, it's huge. I mean, it's exploded from, you know, I always kind of make fun of Steve Carmichael a little bit, because I'm pretty sure he subscribed to everybody, you know, everyone. So,
Yeah.
you know, and I remember back when I did my first show, or went to my first woodworking show with other YouTubers. That was WIA, and that was here in North Carolina. And I had, I don't know, 60,000 subs at the time, and I believe Steve had just passed 200,000 maybe. I don't remember what it was, but Steve was there, and we were chit chatting, and we were talking about all the people in the community, and Steve Carmichael was saying, well, I've got like 150, I'm subscribed to 150 creators. And now if you ask him, it's like I'm subscribed to like 600. So it's just, you know, it's grown just immensely. And one of the things that, you know, from a business aspect, one of the things that we do as creators is we bring in people who are watching what we're doing, and we share this information with them. And, you know, obviously it's a free platform, so people can watch it without charging for it. And that's what happens. We end up doing is creating an equity in the subscriber base of the people that follow us. And so what Toolmasters did was, in more or less a way, without sounding too crazy, it just kind of cashed in on some of that equity, and that was able to, with that, I can, you know, you can kind of funnel that into various very direct, very purposeful points to help do more, help grow more. So, and that's, you know, one of the things that is been really cool in watching. You know, especially you have guys out there that really know their stuff, that are doing real things, like Wood Whisperer. I mean, he came into this with a plan, and he's really got his act together, and he does really well with it. And then you have another one that really knows his stuff and is doing a great job is Ben Ueda. I mean, if you guys want to grow your channels and create a revenue, watch what Ben's doing. Pay attention to that cat. He's a smart boy, you know. And there's a few other ones out there like that just really have that focus. And my focus is similar to theirs, but I, coming from the background I come from, I really want to see this grow. I want to see this community get better and better, and I'll protect this community fiercely, you know. And there's no other place like it. I mean, you can't go anywhere in the world and find a community like this ever. So, you know what,
and I want to back that up, because I've got a brief story to tell. For instance, because just in this podcast, in the podcasting world that we're currently doing, when I was in the radio world that I came from, guys like the Making It guys, the Faking It guys, the Reclaimed Audio guys, the Dusty Life podcast guys, you know, all those guys would have been, how do I say, we would have all hated each other in the radio world, and we would have been, our goal in life would have been ceased their existence, and there would have been a lot of heated competition amongst each other. But in this community, we don't do that. We celebrate each other, and we promote each other on top of that. Because in the radio world, there's not one chance in HE Double Toothpicks I would have ever mentioned another radio station's call letters or slogan on my radio station. But in this podcast, I'm more than happy to do so, because this community is so giving, and it feeds off of itself. It's almost like as we grow, they grow, and as they grow, we grow. It's just a very, very different situation than it is in the business world, and it's incredibly refreshing. And you know what even makes it better is that it works, and the people who want to make money on this can still make money at this in their own environment, and the people that don't want to make money on it don't have to. You know, it's just that kind of an open freedom. And I was wondering if maybe you were thinking that, because, you know, we talked about the initial 4 guys that, you know, the first ones that actually started doing this kind of stuff on YouTube, if the openness of this community hasn't in fact probably taken down that barrier of people being afraid to do this kind of stuff. And that's why the community has grown as much as it has, as far as all the YouTube channels that are now out there and things of that nature, and the different various aspects of making in general. You guys, you think that the community is the one that funneled that, or do you just think that a lot of people caught on to this being rather popular and a cool idea?
I think there's a bit of both in there, to be honest, Chris. The fact that everyone is so willing to help everyone else makes it an inviting arena. If it was if we use that radio analogy, you know, if we never did any collaborations, or we never mentioned anybody else. And
Right.
every individual channel was sort of inwardly focused, as it were. People wouldn't find out about Ben or Matt's Basement Workshop, or the sometimes lesser talked about or known about channels, and then that helps them grow and they follow suit, and it becomes almost a self-perpetuating mass. That'd be my take on it, at least. One thing that, because obviously we've got people that are, for some reason, spending their time watching us live, probably just to count the number of mess ups that happen. Going back to your association, the Toolmasters Association, Izzy. At the moment, certainly my perspective of it, it's fairly continental US focused at the moment. Is that right, or have I got the wrong end of the stick?
No, at the moment, you're right.
I mean, it's a growing, evolving thing, admittedly. So
yeah, well, thanks to Carl Jacobson, and I want to promote him as well. He's now an affiliate member. So those of you who are interested in supporting what Carl does, we have an affiliate for him available on the site, and you can actually sign up through him, and that revenue goes, well, 80% of it goes to him. The other 20 of it gets funneled back into the community. But with thanks to Carl, we're bringing on a couple of UK companies that'll be on here very shortly. And I don't want to promise we're in the works on that. So that's something that's going to happen very quickly. I do want to mention the sawblade.com again. They sell blades and tools in Australia and Canada. So if you're in either of those places, you can order from them, and it's local shipping. It's not, international. We have BP Way, who does ship international for folks that are, just have to have something that they can't get where they're at. BP Way will work with people on international shipping, and I always say send them an email, because you'll get you the best rates. Don't just fill out the form. Miter Set is also willing to do with international shipping, and that's obviously that's just one unique tool, but that company is also growing, and we'll see more products coming in from them over the next period of time. So. All these things are it's still very young. I mean, it's less than 2 months old now, and we have 650 members, which is incredible, absolutely incredible. And we're still trying to find our rhythm, but we're coming on that, and there's more and more stuff that we're doing to develop the unification of the community and really bring that together. And like I said before, we're doing more stuff outside of just the woodworking genre. We're doing tractor pull stuff. We're doing sprint car stuff. We're even going to do some NASCAR stuff. So we're going to try, and really grab attention from, all kinds of different, I know it's probably sounds a little silly because we're woodworkers. What are you doing with NASCAR? Well, there's a lot more to it than just that. So, but
the reason I kind of went back to that and asked about the international thing, I appreciate it is only a couple of months old. It's kind of in its infancy.
Yep.
Rob's Woodshop, who is over in Holland, I believe. Hopefully I got that right, Rob. He just asked, is there or will there be a European branch, or is there potentially scope for a European branch?
Yes, absolutely. We're looking at the possibility of German, European, or UK. Developing some stuff in Australia, definitely doing some stuff with Canada. We're looking at the possibility of doing some stuff in South America as well. But like I said, there's myself, and then there's 3 other guys that help me with this, and we all have day jobs too. So it's going to take some time to dial in. I expect that we'll see progression and changes over the next year and a half to really get it to where it needs to be. So,
sure.
But again,
I think the important takeaway message for anyone looking at this is it is in its infancy. You guys have mouths to feed and jobs to provide the food. These conversations, once you start going global, cross borders, regulations, laws, it starts to become a complete minefield in terms of terms and conditions alone. So I guess you got to bear with it.
Yeah, and that's that's one of the things you see a lot on YouTube channels that do giveaways and build offs and stuff like that, where we literally legally cannot involve some countries. Like if I wanted to do a giveaway, I can do Canada, but I can't do Quebec. It's absolutely illegal to do a sweepstakes in Quebec, and that right there is we're talking Interpol stuff and federal prison if you mess with it.
Yeah,
and I know some people are going, no one's going to bother you if you give away a band song. Maybe not, but they can. and I have mouths to feed. I'm not messing with. I will never ever mess with that to just to provide a bandsaw to somebody who won in Quebec. I mean, it's not worth the risk. So that's where those lines get really weird about what is legal and what is not legal, and you do get some viewers that get upset about it. But there's just it's not something that we have control of.
Next time you want to post that comment, being annoyed because that giveaway isn't involving your country, organize a giveaway.
Right. Try to.
Yeah.
If it's not in your country, it's liably that it's illegal in your country, and you'll not ever be able to do it.
Absolutely. But that's not to say you can't. Sorry, you dive in, Jamie.
I was just going to say we had another question in the chat from Liam Hill, who wants to know what's for dinner.
Chicken wings.
You want boxers or briefs, Liam?
Actually, that's kind of funny you mentioned that. I'm expecting a delivery. They'll probably walk right into the garage with some chicken wings here momentarily. So.
Nice. I had roast pork. So
nice.
Yeah.
I'm having moose burgers.
Oh.
It's not a joke either because I'm Canadian. I'm literally having a moose burger.
Moose. I love moose meat. The problem is you can't eat it 2 days in a row, or you're on the sitting on the toilet for a couple of hours. So.
I expect to spend half my night there, but it's worth it.
Right.
The great Bill Lutz wants to know who's this Izzy Sway guy.
I commented back to him. I said he's the sexy one. So it's the monocle that does it.
You hear that, Chris? You're not the sexy one anymore.
I was never the sexy one. I don't know where that came from.
Can make you turn red so easily.
And since Izzy's here, I'd like to know boxers or briefs.
Oh, for Christ! Just say neither.
Yeah, I was, but what's the term? Commando.
That's my boy. That's my boy right there.
But when we get down to our 100th episode, because Jamie's taken a list of these, he's remembering them. He's going to list them all off in succession for an hour.
Yep.
Yeah,
episode.
Jamie, if you ever post a picture of me commando, I'll come for you. I'm just saying.
Just don't send me one like you did to Jimmy.
The UK's not that far away, Jamie, so just be careful. Tread lightly, my man. But Izzy, you've been doing some other cool stuff recently. I just noticed, and maybe you could expound upon this, because you started doing, I think you mentioned that you're going to be doing this like once a month or something. But at the end of some of your videos, you're doing I found it with a bunny type thing. What is that up to? What is that all about? Tell me about that.
Well, I'm calling it Subscribe-a-thon. I've been thinking about unique ways to help grow. Really, you got a few guys that are lucky enough to have captured the attention of large audiences like myself, and I'm still one of the fairly small guys. I mean, you got Bob Claggett and Jimmy DeResta, and you have Matthias Wandel, and these cats are all like hovering in the million mark, or if they haven't already passed it. And then it kind of starts graduating down. Well, one of the things that is becoming more and more difficult is for channels that are just starting or still have that subscriber base and they're putting out this great content. It's just not getting found. So I was thinking about unique ways that we could not only just shout them out, but really motivate everybody to get involved in the community and start spending that time watching these guys and learning from what they're doing. And so the idea was the Subscribe-a-thon was to not just say, hey, this channel's cool, and this channel's cool, that I really like what they're doing, go check them out. And you usually get a few people over there, but it was to motivate people as well, not necessarily some big huge reward, but just to make it fun. How can we make it fun and entertaining for people to go watch other creators? And that way was I took the little fat rabbit bunny that I'm very proud of, and I'm going to mail it off to somebody. In fact, I believe tomorrow tomorrow live on Instagram, I'm going to have my daughter draw the names out of the hat, and whoever the name she draws, that's who I'm sending it to. So there's no plan. I literally don't know who it's going to yet. But that way, when somebody finds it, they say I found it in the video, comment on the video, and I said, I'll throw in $100 Amazon gift card just for everybody, the sport, the sportsmanship, playing along and going and really making the effort. So, and I'm working on some other ideas like that as well to try and promote growth in the community, and that's really what it's all about. Is getting the community to grow and to find these channels like I mentioned. I believe it was I mentioned Trust and Timber and I Jessup and Von Thompson, and I have a list. I pretty much have a list of all the people I'm shouting out here shortly, and and then I'm hoping that some of this might trickle over to other channels, and I would challenge the other channels to do something similar or find a way to help promote creators that are making this content and that are help them to make it get a leg up, because after all, when the community grows, everybody does better. It's not just the better the community, the better off the community is, the better off we all are. And when I say community, I'm not just talking about subscribers or creators. I'm talking about everyone. If we have more people making content, that's more information, that's more education, that's more entertainment for everybody, not just creators. And I want to make that very clear that I'm not just about growing the creator community. I'm interested in growing the entire woodworking community. So,
no, that's awesome. And then I just thought it was cute because there were some people that I would just really love to watch a video of theirs and have a bunny show up in the background.
Right.
I just think that's funny. So
I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. Whoever gets it, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they do something fun with it. Maybe they just have it sitting in the background, hidden under some clothes or something. Who knows? But
yeah, if you get it to Joe, he's going to put it in a smoking jacket and hand it a pipe. I guarantee it.
Right. Well, if it was me, if it was reversed, he'd be wearing a monocle and a horn hat. So you never know. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and it's not always going to be the bunny. I think next month I'll pick some other kind of unique thing, to do. But we're going to do that every month. We have been talking about doing a live 1.5 hour online session each month that we call Subscribe-a-thon as well, where we open up the floor to other creators to share their channels and to put links in the description and really actively share what they're doing and start making lists. And I'm not sure how that's going to play out, but it's possible that may happen. I'm not sure yet at this point, but Mancrafting Chad Grossclaws is kind of helping me a lot with the social media side of stuff, and he and I have been kind of hashing that out too, if it's going to be something that's going to be valuable, or if it's going to get so, it's really easy to get convoluted in the chat section where everybody's just throwing stuff up, and then it loses the purpose of it, So I don't know if we're going to talk about ways to kind of control that a little bit so we can really hit hard on a few channels and help them. I don't know at this point, but there's talk of it, so we're talking about that as well.
That's awesome. But hey, Al, I wanted to ask you real quick. When you were at the woodworking show, did you happen to have a chance to run into Laney Shaughnessy and say hi to him, or what?
I did. I had a small conversation with Laney. He was really, really busy. He had 2 seminars and he did not have a booth, but I got to film him doing his seminar on CNC machines. So that was really interesting to watch. CNC isn't something I've always really been into, but he kind of sparked something in me there. He was making some beautiful stuff.
It's interesting you mentioned the CNC there, Alan, because does anyone remember about 12 months ago when CNC started becoming, they were still new, but they were starting to increase in terms of the channels? And there was a big hoo-ha about that's not real woodworking and that's not this. There was a real kind of divide. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember that. The way I see it, if you're working with wood, you're working with wood. Maker is a maker. I couldn't get behind that.
Absolutely. But there were an awful lot of pro and anti, and compared to the don't really mind. But now it's, just 12 months later, it seems to be a far more accepted. You don't see those kind of comments and conversations now, or I don't at least. And it's the way, again, another way that the community has grown and evolved, because you've now got people who just do CNC work, and they do some amazing CNC work on their channels, on their Facebook pages and at shows. And they're still considered part of this group. And I'm just wondering how we can expand on that again with all the other technology that's out there.
Well, you've got guys out there that are doing 3D printing and stuff, and all kinds of craziness out there in the maker community too. That that if I guess if that came out, at the same time that people started getting X cards in the mail, then you might have had the same kind of resistance. But it's it still takes a human to make the machine work, as far as I know.
Absolutely, exactly. But it goes to kind of reinforce what Izzy was saying about kind of everyone, not just growing the channels, but growing the audience and their participation as well. I mean, we had a lot of help tonight setting this up as live from Steve. Steve knows a lot about live Google Hangouts compared to us. Izzy just mentioned the live streams on, was it Instagram you talked about, Izzy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know a huge amount about Instagram, but there are loads of guys out there that are part of the community. They might not have a channel, let alone a big channel, that know an awful lot about social media, about Facebook, about Instagram, and they're still piling in all their information and helping everyone grow from that. So I think it's important not to just get sort of fixated on the maker aspect of the community, because everyone's got these skills outside of that. 99% of people are not full-time makers. They have jobs in varying industries, and that wealth of knowledge goes so far beyond making. And I like to kind of encourage that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And good point.
We got another question from the chat from Mr. Andy Berkey. And he would like to know, what's Izzy's take on YouTube versus television?
Oh, there's a loaded question. Thanks, Andy. So,
thank you, Andy.
Right. Well, there's a slippery slope right there. Well, it goes back to growing the community again, and I'm not just talking about YouTube and woodworking, watching YouTubers and YouTubers, that kind of thing. I'm talking about the woodworking community. If YouTube wasn't here and TV wasn't here, I'd be banging on doors, trying to meet woodworkers and trying to, make friends and learn more and do more. So it's when it comes to television is an entirely different audience than YouTube. There are still a great many people who haven't found YouTube yet, or haven't found it other than just a source of information, where they come once in a while to learn how to change an oil filter. So there's a lot of people there on TV. Not, granted, there's more here on YouTube than there is out there now. It's kind of made that convergence. But there's still a lot of people out there. So if we can reach people through television, then I say more power to it. Now, that's one of those things where you got to be real careful in television, and Jimmy DeRessa will be the first one to, he'll be the first proponent for just YouTube and staying away from television. But the God's honest truth is there's an audience there that's not here. And if we can use that forum, or we can use that large scale media to introduce more people to woodworking and to some of the things that are happening, why not do it? So it's not, you have to weigh the cost, of course, like how much time does it take away from your life and what you're doing, and how, so there's many aspects to it. And it depends again on the way the if you're talking about like a channel, like what Jimmy was doing with, Hammered and Dirty Money and stuff like that. I mean, you have a lot of red tape to deal with. There are ways to get on television where there's very little red tape to deal with, and that usually requires money. So it comes in handy to know companies with money who are interested in promoting their stuff, and then you can kind of piggyback that and help promote the community as well. So, and that's kind of, I am playing around with television, and you won't hear a whole lot about it from me on my channel. There was talk of a show, and there still is talk of a show about YouTubers, and that has, again, it's one of those places where you have to be very careful, because a lot of, they're getting more and more acceptance of it. If you go to the Discovery Channel and say YouTube, people have heart attacks there. If you go to the History Channel, not so much. I mean, they still prefer content creator over YouTuber. But if you get to some of these channels like Mav TV, like Spike, like Velocity, that are not, Discovery size, again, the audience is smaller, but they're a lot more willing to work with people like us. And it's not a money maker, guys. I'm telling you, there's no money in it. But it is worthy of the views and the and the attention that it can get for what we're doing here. So I mean, it's a different audience than what we have here. So why not spread our wings a little bit and kind of try and capture some of that.
But yeah, it opens the door, right?
Yep.
I could tell you right now, if I was sitting there watching television with my family, as a fan, if Izzy suddenly popped up on the screen, like mind blown, worlds would collide. That would be amazing. I would be totally for that. But, we have another question from Berkey. He wants to, what's the difference between a woodworker and a maker, in your opinion, Izzy?
None.
Thank you.
There isn't any. And then that goes back to, I'd like to touch on the CNC topic that we just discussed. It goes back to creation. I mean, we're all creators. We're all building, designing, doing something, whether it's software or whether you're standing in the corner with a chisel and a mallet carving, if you're Berkey, you're carving a Jesus or an angel or something, So it's not, it goes back to creation. And creation doesn't happen in the shop. Creation doesn't happen at, at a CNC machine. It doesn't happen with a hammer and chisel. Creation happens in the mind. Everything starts there. And whether you're cutting something out with a CNC or whether you're cutting it out with a chisel, that's not where it started. It started in your head. And for whichever way it got to the end product, is it so important? As long as it got there, who cares what, some people have the love for the tools. Some people have the love for the CNC machines, and I'm proud of them both for getting off their rear ends and doing something. So where does it matter?
So don't get caught up too much in the love of the process. It's the creation is what you're talking about.
Well, you can love the CNC, you can love the chisels, and that's fine. And maybe that's you pick, I'm going to use a CNC. Another guy picks, I'm going to use a chisel. There's guys out there that don't have power tools like Chops with Chris. Those are the really crazy ones, just so you know.
Would by right.
But does it really matter? If you want an end table, and in your brain, what you want to kind of do with that end table. Does it really matter that you used a CNC or a plane or a drill or power tools? When you have the end table sitting there, is it so important how it got there? I mean, I don't think it is. I think as long as you enjoyed the process and it gets done, who cares? I'm just happy you had some fun.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
It's more about the journey than the mode of transportation.
Yep.
At the end of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, do you guys go out when you go to your shops? Are you thinking, those terrible CNC machines or those dumb hand tool people? I mean, you're not thinking about that. You don't care. You're going out to build something.
All I'm thinking is, why can't I afford a CNC machine?
There is always that.
There's always that. Why can't I?
Whether you're a hand tool guy or a CNC guy, there's always something bigger, badder, and better that you want.
One step at a time. Like this way I get to master the hand tools, and then one day I will get to master the CNC.
Well, guys, we got about 15 minutes left or so. If there's anybody out there in the chat that wants to throw some questions our way to fill up the time, please do so. I think both Alan and Jamie are monitoring the chat, so if you guys see something, chime in.
Yeah, we've got Andy Berkey over there. We've got Joe's Basement Woodworking, Mitch Dietrich.
Joe Basement Woodworking.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
Joe, you're gonna have to leave. Sorry.
Shogun Jimmy's over there. Jim Dockrell.
It literally bewilders me that there are people that are willingly taking the time to listen to us live. That I just genuinely cannot get my head around that.
Oh, Billy McCord and Stuart Dixon are there as well. They're saying everyone's saying hello to me.
Well, Richard, if you're going to question that, you can question everybody who listens to us recorded. I mean, what's the difference?
Why? So, one thing.
Sorry, Andy Berkey wants to know what's next for Izzy.
Chicken wings.
Thanks for playing along.
and some new goggles, Andy. He's going to one up you.
Absolutely.
I do have a box full of goggles I'll be handing out at the Atlanta show in case anybody's feeling left out. Come to the Atlanta show. I'll give you some goggles.
Woohoo! Jamie, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to get an extra pair off of Izzy, because I won't be in a position to make it to the show. Unfortunately, I'm going to be about 4, maybe 5 hours south in Orlando, but I will be thinking of you.
I'll make sure Jamie gets 2 pairs, one that he can bring home to you and give the one he doesn't like the least to you.
The one that he breaks during the show, I'll have that one there. That's fine.
The ones that are spray painted pink.
I'd probably still wear them, to be honest. So that's the way. But that kind of brings me on to something I wanted to ask your opinion on, Izzy, and that is, if somebody like myself in this instance is unable to make it to a show, or they are unwilling for whatever reason to create a channel, but they still want to be part of the community, obviously they are more than welcome, because everybody is.
Yes, absolutely.
What advice would you give to somebody who is thinking, I want to get into this more, but I don't think maybe I should because I haven't got a channel, or I don't know how to, or
Well, you don't need a YouTube channel to be part of this community. I mean, there's so many options. There's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's these groups out there that you can find fairly easily now via the interweb. 3-minute search and you can find all kinds of woodworking groups. And if you're doing projects and you're not sharing photographs and your ideas on Facebook and Instagram, shame on you. You absolutely should be. I mean, there's absolutely no reason that you shouldn't be sharing your projects and your concepts and your ideas. I don't care if it's a paper towel holder or if you're building, robots made out of titanium.
Yeah, that's kind of because a lot of people get into this mindset that has said that, oh, well, my stuff isn't good enough to share. No. We all had to start somewhere. And so please, I mean, if you think you have room for improvement, the best way to improve yourself, if you're looking for help, is to stick your stuff out there. And be willing to accept some decent criticism and maybe some tips and tricks to how to get the end process you want done better. I mean, because there are still chat rooms out there. I mean, Lumberjocks, I think, is still big. I could be wrong. I used to be a member of Lumberjocks, eons ago, but I think that's still an active group, is it not?
Oh yeah, they're still active. I get emails from them all the time, 2 or 3 a day. So there's forums, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's just so many options. We have a local club here that just started thanks to Charlie Moore, who's an avid woodworker and a very skilled one and a talented guy. Look around your area. Sometimes they're a little difficult to find, but you can find clubs to get involved in. And if you're not absolutely sharing your ideas with the world, then shame on you. You should be. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you're building, if you're taking 2 sticks and wrapping some twine around it and calling it a towel holder. Share some ideas, because that's what gets people motivated. That's what gets people excited about building stuff, whether it's whether you're 3D printing something or you're out in the woods with a pocket knife and chisel on the other extreme of it. Share it. That's how we all get ideas. That's how we all move forward. That's how people get excited about doing stuff, and that's why I like the variances in channels. You have channels out there that are just starting and learning this stuff. You have channels that are guys like Jimmy that have been in this for 30 years. You have channels like me who I have a lot of background in a lot of different things. So I mean, I share what I can and try to make it as unintimidating as possible. So there's so much out there that can be done without having a YouTube channel. If you're somebody who makes, you need to be sharing.
Yeah, that leads me to a question I was going to ask you earlier, and I don't know that you can define it into a single square. And if you can't, then please don't try. But when you're doing your stuff and you're doing it on your social media, whether it be YouTube or wherever, and I know you were involved with Twitch for a while. Where does your mindset from? Are you in the mindset of being a teacher, an entertainer, or am I looking at Izzy just having a good time? I mean,
yes. The answer is yes to all 3.
Okay, that's what I thought.
A lot of what I try to do with YouTube it's absolutely not possible to go through and teach a 3.5-hour class and be extremely detailed about how to make tenons. Just not. You're not going to capture an audience that way. But it is possible to be very focused on hand techniques or some particular part of a build that you're doing and really focus in on it and let people see exactly what you're doing while you're narrating a film. So I mean, there is that option. And then, there's kind of a place where, for me, I struggle with, because I've been doing this for so long. I tend to make things look easier than they really are, and I want to make things unintimidating for people, because I want people to try them. If you show up and you build this beautiful masterpiece and it only takes you a couple of days, people can get intimidated by that, and why even try?
I mean, there's also the aspect of not just being a teacher and an entertainer, but there's also that student aspect to it as well, because you put something out and you do it the way you've done it a million times before, or maybe even only twice before, and somebody puts something in. So how come, had you thought about doing it this way or that way? And sometimes you think, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. So you can learn from what you do in a teaching aspect as well. So there's something literally for everybody, people watching, the people doing, and everyone in between as well. And I think that gets forgotten about. Quite a lot.
Absolutely right. And especially when you get into things like Jimmy and me and these cats that have been doing this for 25, 30 years, we have a way of doing things, period. That's our go-to. It's like learning a language. Once you learn to say the a certain way, you say the a certain way. I say potato, somebody else might say potato, and maybe the potato is a sexier way of doing it. But you gotta, if you pay attention to the comment section, if you listen to people and have an open mind, you never know what you can learn.
Absolutely.
Do me a favor, just don't say aluminum in front of our British friends here.
Aluminium.
Aluminium or something like that. I don't know.
That's how they're teaching it in America now.
That confused the hell out of me.
Yeah, my kids are being taught aluminium, not aluminum.
But it's weird because all the other elements, that they all end in
Mm-hmm.
like francium. It's not francium. Aluminium's the exception, and I can see why it's done that. But yeah, you're right, Chris. It is aluminium.
To you.
But it's all about context, actually. It goes back to what Izzy was saying just a second ago. Potato. I do it this way, you do it that way. But we both understand what was happening, what we got. It's all about the context as well. So
we've got another question from over in the chat. We've got Billy Bob from Mancrafting. He wants to know how to dry paint.
Billy Bob. He's talking about Chad, people.
So I'm messing with YouTube's algorithm. YouTube, as most people know, have kind of been favoring longer video format, and that's because of session watch time. So if you're a creator, listen up a little bit. So I've been I've done a couple of 40-second to long videos that I put on YouTube. What I'm doing is messing with their algorithm. I'll put out a short form and then a long form video. And really, when you're a YouTuber, you want to start generating session watch time. That's why you don't want to link too much in your stuff, because it moves traffic away from your channel. And if you go look at my stats for the last month, you'll see December, I linked a lot of stuff away from my channel and my numbers just tanked. So, and then I'm not putting up content for a month, or not decent content anyway, because I was sick, didn't help. But so I'm messing with their algorithm. What I'm doing is I'm going to put up a handful of short 1-minute long videos, and then I'm going to create playlists along with them. So they may be short videos, but they'll still get really good session watch time. So I'm just kind of experimenting to see if that's going to work out. If I can generate that session watch time through short video format videos, if they'll promote it. So I'm kind of messing with YouTube a little bit. And so I put out a video today about how you can dry paint in 10 seconds. And it's literally latex paint. When you have small projects or whatever, and you just don't want to wait for it to dry, you hit it with a torch real quick and it dries it instantly. So I put that tip up on YouTube. The whole video was 40 seconds long, and it was all about how to dry your paint in 10 seconds. And so I'll have a few tip videos coming out like that in between my longer format videos that'll end up being all in a kind of a 1-minute hack or tip, whatever you guys call it or want to call it, playlist. So I'll be generating longer session watch time with shorter videos, and I'm going to see if it works. And if I can pull the wool over YouTube's eyes for session watch time. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays.
Are you going to start ending the video? Izzy out.
No. I was going to actually start putting your face at the end of every video, Jamie.
Well, if that doesn't drive traffic away.
Yeah, if that doesn't kill your channel, I don't know what will.
Yeah, Andy, I'm not copying you. Andy's like, give me a minute. I'm like, yeah, no.
Right. Well, I mean, I could go on talking to Izzy for probably days, to be honest, and I'm thinking everyone else could as well. But I'm quite happy to go on for a little bit longer if there's more that you guys want to mention, or if there's stuff that people want to ask. If not,
if you guys don't mind, I'd like to take just a couple minutes of your time to kind of plug to TMA and talk a little bit about what we're doing there.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, to start off with, TMA is more about is less about generating a bunch of money and more about community, and that's really what the whole thing has come down to. Some of the stuff that we're doing behind TMA, the scenes is, so you guys know, is that we have every month we do a build off. So there's a build off, and of course there's a prize for the build off, and then we do a giveaway every month over there, and that's some of the fun stuff that we do. It's just to get people to build stuff, just to get them out there motivated, get them out in the shops, get them building stuff. It's really not about winning a prize. I mean, the prize is a nice motivator, but it's still just about being active, And then we do a pretty nice giveaway every month for just being a TMA member. If you're a TMA member, you're enrolled. And that's just to say thank you. And then we also have classes that we do over there. Right now, we're doing a Fusion 360 course, 6 weeks course. We're coming up on our 5th week. Ben Brandt's teaching that. Carl Jacobson has jumped on board. He's going to be teaching some turning classes. Rebecca DeGroot has agreed to come on board and teach some of her design processes. I'll be doing several classes throughout the year, including rustic furniture design, introduction to design, and some more. I would call them what I would call advanced joinery, I suppose. I'll be teaching some, how to make advanced joinery pretty easy. I might even cut some dovetails, even though I swore 20 years ago I'd never do another one. Just to kind of show folks that it's not, there's really, once you break it down to their bare parts, it's pretty simple stuff. So we might be doing a class like that as well. So we're always looking at classes. Of course, we have our tool discounts, and we keep bringing more companies on board, and we're really focusing on companies that are smaller, very unique products, and just are like to have customer service through the roof. So we're really focusing on companies like that, and we're having some good fortune with that. And we promote our TMA members. We have a TMA member, Dennis, who makes you can actually probably, well, I can't, yeah, it's behind me, who makes a really cool blade box for storing table saw blades in. And he's selling it on TMA now. Tony Rulo, did I say that right? Raulo? Tony Rulo. Tony Rulo makes these absolutely wonderful branding irons and other products. And he's coming on board. He's going to sell through TMA as well. So it's not just about, it's really about promoting this whole community. And if we have members that have products, we are absolutely about promoting what they're doing, promoting channels, promoting, getting on the shop and building stuff. So there's this whole, it's really this whole community of very like-minded individuals. And the unique thing about, paying, they pay to be there. It's granted, it's really expensive. It's $5 a month if you buy for the year, or $7 if you buy for the month to month. So it's a chunk of change. It might, so,
not really.
But there's that little bit of money helps support, creators. It helps put more money back into the thing, and helps us do things like, like the Atlanta show, like pay for people to go to events and stuff like that. Like, and if Jamie doesn't mind me throwing him under the bus, we had talked about sponsoring someone from overseas to come to the Atlanta show, and we're going to do that again next year. That's what this is about. It's about bringing communities together. It's about doing more and more stuff. So we do all that stuff over on TMA, and there's always just little things in between. I'm trying very hard to put some new content together that's just for TMA members. That'll, of course, be high value stuff. A lot like the bandsaw blade video I did recently on YouTube. I'll do stuff like that pretty regularly over there for just members, that explain some of the finer points of tooling and, and technique and that sort of stuff as well. So, we have a lot going on for what it is. That's TMA in a nutshell, guys.
Where can people go to find both the TMA stuff and obviously yourself as well, Izzy, if they don't know?
IzzySwan.com. You can see a lot of stuff that's going on over there. for the most part, most of my site is pretty a stagnant site. Doesn't change much. It just kind of gives you some information, some articles, plans, that sort of stuff. But once you're behind the scenes on TMA, that's the part that's always changing and moving, and that's the exciting side of things. So, but you can find it all there at izzyswan.com.
Fantastic. I'll make sure everyone that's interested or thinks they just might be interested, even a tiny portion of that, go and check it out and see what's going on over there. So, Alan, what are you working on? What are you up to at the moment?
What am I working on? I'm still working on the Zelda. I'm still working on the Zelda sword. I still have not even finished the handle. What else are we doing? I'm not watching anything. I'm listening. I'm listening to a podcast with Rick Wilkie, Ryan Bitters, and Eloy Escajada over at Escajada Woodworking. It's called Scratched. Scratched is awesome. We'll make sure we get it into the show notes below. Make sure you listen to it. It's more or less three makers talking about everything except making. It's all their interests outside of making, and they're hilarious. So make sure you go and have a listen.
Awesome. Cool. Good stuff. And you, Jamie, what are you working on, watching, etc.?
Working on. I made a little pot today out of pencils, and I made a little Palook bowl the other day, which, like you said at the start, raised $110 for Make It Matter charity. But I'm watching a guy in Portugal who I believe is actually in the chat room today, called Hugo from Trash Woodshop. And I'm giving him a shout out because last time I looked, I believe he had less than 100 subscribers, and he is so entertaining to watch, and he just deserves so many more subscribers. He's got a great channel. He goes live on YouTube as well. He goes live on Twitch. And yeah, he's just a genuine great guy. And like I say, he deserves more subscribers. So yeah, go check him out. It's Trash Woodshop.
Awesome.
What are you working on, Chris?
What am I working on? I'm continually. Right now I'm working on my shop because it's totally torn apart. Because I'm cleaning and I'm thinking about reorganizing, so I'm not really working on any projects per se. But I tell you who I have been watching, and this gentleman, he did something really cool, and I think probably Izzy's probably familiar with it. Jerry Blakesley. Jerry has a YouTube channel called Jerry's Machines. Jerry made this mill-style drill press table that he put up on YouTube, and that thing is cool. I mean, if you need to go check this out, Jerry's Machines, and at least check out the mill-style drill press table that he made, because I looked at that and I went, Jerry, you're a madman, but I love you, and it's good stuff. So check out Jerry's Machines on YouTube.
Yeah, while you're there, check out his Craig machine too. It's off the chain.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Talking about off the chain things, I dare I ask what you're working on, Izzy, with some of the things that you come up with?
I'm right now designing quite a bit of folding furniture products for this year, or builds for this year. I've got a few, obviously the jig thing's always going to keep up, and I think my next video is actually going to be a video about how to make a really, really super stupid, simple domino style machine for creating domino style mortises. So that'll probably be up on Monday or Tuesday. So
excellent. You always, again, you're another one of these people who I just love to get inside your head and just work out how it works in there, because some of the stuff you come up with is insane.
Jump in, there's plenty of room.
Where can I go from there? At the moment I'm doing a load of fitted wardrobes for a client. So I've currently got 5 sheets of birch plywood, rough cut to size, in the dining room. So apologies to Kat for that. Everyone has to step over it. It's this huge stack. And I'm really excited at the moment. I've just been given the go ahead by a client to make a really awesome arcade machine cabinet that's going to have all kinds of computers and PlayStations and all sorts in it. So that's going to be, I'm excited about that. So consequently, I haven't been able to do a huge amount of watching on YouTube, but I want to give a shout out to Ollie Parry Jones, who is he's a trained furniture maker in the UK. He's got quite a small channel. He hasn't really put out an awful lot recently because he actually lost his workshop. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he'll be getting that back quite soon. So I'll put a link down for his channel in the show notes. Make sure that happens. I think that pretty much wraps the tonight up. Chris has given me the thumbs up. He's eager to finish.
No, I'm not eager. Just I've got some editing ahead of me, so just yeah, wrap it up, Richard.
Will do. Excellent. So make sure you head on over and subscribe to all the guys, and big them up on their social media where they can be found. So I've been Rick Morley. You can find me at brainfizz.uk under my name on YouTube. Once again, thanks to Izzy for coming along, and I could talk for hours, but I won't. So everyone take care who's listening, and you say cheerio.
Cheerio.
Have a week.
Have a great week, everybody.